How's it going, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of your favorite Swimbait podcast, Scales and Tales, episode 191. We're joined by an artist. We have not been joined by an artist or like somebody outside of, the either the main swimbait fishing gig or the bait building gig. We haven't been joined by like a photographer, an artist, or anything in a very long time, so I'm super hyped about this one. This is a guy. I would bet a lot of money that you guys have seen his work in passing. You know who he is. You follow him. You, like I said, you've seen his. I guarantee everybody listening to this has seen his work, whether it's the Cast and Crank logo and that mural back there, or the Toxic Day stuff, or Elude stuff. Like, we're gonna get into all the stuff he's done and all the stuff he does do, but just to kind of give it a little bit, so you guys can think before we get, you guys can think about if you'd ever seen his stuff. We're joined by Goonie Wolfe, Mr. Kyle, all the way over there in Nevada. I think. Dude, you might be the first guy from Nevada off the top of my head.
Nice. Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah, Reno. Reno
Reno,
from
okay.
like northern Nevada.
Okay. So, dude, yeah, I'm trying to think here. I think you are the first guy from Nevada, so that is super cool. New territory for us. So we get to hear your fishing and kind of how you got started and all that good stuff. But I guess give us a slight little introduction, then we'll do those icebreakers and then we'll get into the thick of it for this one, man.
Cool. Yeah, I'm Goonie Wolf. My name is Kyle Leesdale for anybody that like doesn't know me, but um yeah, I guess that's it. I'm from Reno, Nevada. Been fishing my whole life. I think I started when I was like 3,
Wow.
so it's pretty much it.
Heck yeah, dude.
And I'm not just a man. I fish like a lot of salt too.
Okay. Yeah, we're definitely gonna touch on that then, because that is something I have little to no knowledge about, so I'm gonna need you to lay some on me. But dude, before we get too deep into it, we gotta break the conversation up a little bit, get some icebreakers going here. As always, the first question that I think many people enjoy. This is a question that when I came up with it, I just thought it was like a cool question, but now after I hear guys talk about it, like when I was at the throwback event the other day and guys were talking about the like the intros and stuff that I do, they were like, "Oh my gosh, we love the icebreakers. It really like shows you who the person is. Like if they're like a guy who loves working out, they're usually grabbing like a Celsius and a Cliff Bar, and other guys are grabbing, just whatever. It's always something different. So, dude, we're over there in Reno. We're gonna get ready to fish, or we're in your neck of the woods. We'll just leave it like that. We're getting ready to go fish in the morning. So it's right now we're recording this in the evening. In the morning, we're getting ready to go fish, however far we have to drive. What is like the go-to gas station or convenience store you're stopping at? And then what's the go-to like pre-fishing re-up that you got to get while we're there?
All right, so Maverick is like our best gas station for
Okay.
sure. I don't know if you guys have Mavericks
No.
out there, but yeah, it's like they have like a little restaurant in there and like fucking, it has like all everything you could think
Yeah.
of. But I would say I would grab because I'm usually fishing all day. If I'm gonna go out in the morning, I'm gonna fish all day.
Yep.
So I would grab coffee
Mm.
for sure. And then probably like some type of energy bar, and then definitely like a midday energy drink, like a yerba mate or like,
Okay. Yeah.
something like that. And
Yep.
then like a lot of water for sure.
Okay.
When I
Now,
was younger, I used to like not drink enough water when I was
mm,
fishing, and I'll fish all day, and I'd
yeah.
be so dehydrated by the end of the day.
Yeah, dude, I believe that. All right, I have two sub questions based off of what you just answered to us. First off, okay, so I think the only other person that mentioned coffee drinks it straight up, black coffee, just like I do. Do you dress up your coffee or do you drink it black? What's like your go-to coffee when you're getting it?
I'll drink it black, but I usually do just like regular cream and
Mm.
a little bit of sugar in there.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 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 dude. My girlfriend, she's been getting this creamer, and it is I don't even it's like salted caramel or whatever, and it's more creamer than coffee, and she always gives me a sip, and I'm like, it's like a cappuccino. It's not even like a coffee right now.
Yeah, for sure, dude, for sure.
And
I'll
then
do that too.
yeah.
I used to be like a crazy sugar
Mm,
fiend, dude. So like my coffees would be all dressed up, but now that I'm getting older, it's like I just kind of want like a regular coffee. That's why I don't mind black coffee either now,
right.
you know?
Yeah, yeah. And then the next question based off your gas station pickup here. I know, dude, I like around or I guess just in general, people live and die on like what brand water they drink. Like the people say Dasani tastes like crap, people only drink Fuji, whatever else it may be. What's like, do you have a specific water brand that you stick to, or is it just like whatever's $1.60 is going in the shopping bag?
No, I don't like I definitely don't like the cheap shit,
Okay.
but I can't think of it has like the plus sign on it. Is it the Life
Oh,
Water? No.
no, I know what you're talking about. It's got like that Swiss flag on it.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What is that? Um, it's not Life Water. It's not Smart. I don't think it's a Smart Water either. But I do know what you're talking about.
Oh, I do fuck with Smart Water too, though.
Yeah.
I'll fuck with the Smart. They have good shit.
Have you do you guys have that box, like the boxed water out there, like those wine boxes, but instead it's water, like those little I think it's called just I think it's literally called boxed water. Is that something you guys have out there?
We don't, but we have the coconut waters like that, and
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
fuck
yeah.
with them. Dude,
Yeah.
coconut waters are hella good.
Dude, I I've never gotten into the coconut water stuff. Like it's good in like a body armor. Like when I can't like directly taste it, I'll mess up some coconut water. But dude, just like coconut or coconut water by itself, I don't know what it is. It's like way too tropical for me. I'm way too far north to like the tropical stuff like that. I wasn't it wasn't something I was
Yeah,
ever into.
yeah, no, and I basically like I've been to Mexico every year of my
Mm.
life. My parents have a house down there,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm just used to it, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I coconut water's fire, dude. Especially like you can't drink a lot of it, but if you put down like two or three waters and then cap it off with a coconut water, there's
Mm.
so much electrolytes in it that
Mm.
it's perfect.
All right, all right. Maybe I'll have to try it again. I got a fishing trip on Saturday and Sunday, and maybe I'll grab one. And if I don't like it, I'll just dump it out in the lake. But I'm gonna try it because it has been a couple of years, and I know a bunch of people who drink it, a bunch of people love it, swear by it, whatever else. So I'll try it again. I'll post it on my story if I end up liking it. But yeah, I'll bite the bullet and I'll buy one and see what it's all about. But dude,
They, they also have they have to be hella cold too, dude.
okay, okay,
It can't
yeah,
be like warm, you know?
yeah,
Like
not no piss warm
you have
coconut
to
water around here. Dude, for the second question, so like kind of growing up like over on the West Coast by the sounds of it, or at least in that general area, and being so heavily into art and stuff. And you don't, this is all a hypothetical question, but like when you were growing up, I assume you're around the time of like the 90s, early 2000s, like when stuff was like when the culture was a lot different than it is now. But were you ever into like graffiti, not necessarily graffitiing, but like tagging stuff like spray paint or like was that something that you were into? And this is totally hypothetical. Like if you were ever to do that, was that something that you ever did or wanted to do?
no, I've that's my entire background. Like I
Okay.
started painting graffiti when I was probably in sixth grade.
Wow.
And I've been arrested 7 times. Um, it's there's been a lot of highs and a lot of
Yeah.
lows, but it took me to where I am now. You know,
Yeah.
I fished my entire life too, so it was always kind of like hand in hand.
Mm.
So, um, but yeah, it's definitely kind of on the back burner. Not really on the back burner,
Right.
but now that I'm older and I have a family and
Yeah.
I'm not out sneaking around and shit like I used to be, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well,
But yeah, yeah,
okay, sick, dude. Well, that leads us like that was an unintentional like perfect coast right into the intro to the episode essentially, intro into who you are and what you do. So, did you grow up or obviously the first question, how did you get into fishing and kind of where did you grow up and where did you start, figuring out that this was something that you're going to be no pun intended, like hooked on for life by the sounds of it.
Right. All right. So my dad was like, he was a guide down in Baja for a long time
Hmm.
before, like actually around the time I was born, which was in 87. And he would like organize big trips for firefighters and people to go down there and catch saltwater fish. And so I've been going down to Baja my entire life. And so when I was old enough here, my dad took me to this place called Rye Patch Reservoir. And I caught like, I think like 90 crappie.
Holy,
I think it was my birthday too. It was something crazy, you
yeah.
know. And my dad was just so stoked, and like obviously I was stoked. And then ever since then, it's been like I've been obsessed with it. And I think when I was about 21, 22 ish, I kind of put it on the back burner because I was making music at the time.
Hmm.
And so I didn't fish as much for probably like 7 years, I want to say.
Hmm. If you're listening to this podcast, it's safe to assume you're tossing big baits for trophy bass. You already know that treble hook changes are part of the game, but they don't always have to be a pain in the butt to do. Toit split ring pliers are hands down the easiest way to swap out treble hooks, especially on those beefy swim baits we all love. No more slipping, no more fighting your gear, just smooth, secure hook changes every time. Available in 3 fixed sizes in a full kit with interchangeable jaws that safely open up any size split ring. Toyota doesn't stop there. They offer a full lineup of precision tools designed with anglers in mind, including long and short nose pliers, scissors that cut cleanly on limp braid, and wire forming tools perfect for rigging those soft baits. So up your game with Toy, because when you're chasing giants, every detail matters. Check them out at toyfishing.com and be sure to use code SNT15 for 15% off your order. Again, that's toyfishing.com, TOIT fishing.com. And again, SNT15 for 15% off your order. Picture this, the sun rising over the mountains, your line gets tight, and the fight of a lifetime begins. Welcome to Lake Bacharach Lodge, Mexico's premier largemouth bass fishing lodge. Nestled in the heart of the Sierra Madre Mountains, Lake Bacharach Lodge offers world-class fishing, luxury accommodations, first-class hospitality, and expert guides who know where the grandes live. Whether you're chasing giants or kicking back after a day on the water with a frosty, cold, bottomless margarita, we've got you covered. Home to some of the biggest bass in the world, Lake Bacharach is truly an angler's paradise. Don't miss your shot at the bass of a lifetime. Book your trip now at www.lakebacharachlodge.com or call 806-316-8382 today. Lake Bacharach Lodge, truly the best in bass.
But then I got back into it and I started swim baiting like 11 years ago.
Wow. Dang. Okay. Okay. So it's interesting that you said the crappie because when I think, when I think out west, I think like stereotypical person or younger kid getting into fishing. I would think it's like the trout stockings, them going out with their dad or grandpa or whoever else it may be and catching a bunch of trout after the stocking truck leaves. So to say crappie, that like threw me for a loop. That's not what I was expecting you to say. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so my dad like he still like doesn't really fuck with the trout fishing. I think because of his generation,
Mm-hmm.
they trout fishing was more of a fly fishing thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And he can fly fish, but not really like his jam, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So when he put me on, we caught all those crappie, and then ever since then, it was always bass fishing. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
he would take me smallmouth fishing a lot. We have a
Oh wow.
lot of lakes around Reno. Like
Yeah.
I think there's probably I'd say 10 or 15 lakes
Wow.
within an hour from Reno
Hmm.
that have bass and largies and smallies,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's it's cool, dude. It's a cool place to live.
Yeah, wow. I did not know that you guys had like the opportunities like that out there. That's crazy to hear. And obviously that sounds like a place once you get into fishing, like you have a decent amount of area of your at your exposure of going out and catching these smallmouth or largemouth in learning all these different lakes all within a an hour of your house. Like that's pretty legit. And I imagine that in California it's more like ponds and stuff, but it sounds like over by you it might be maybe not like huge reservoirs, but bigger lakes and stuff that obviously can hold largemouth, smallmouth, and crappie and all the and like all this diverse these diverse lakes you guys have out there. On top of maybe some of them get trout and stuff too, so you have the opportunity for big fish. Like that sounds like a pretty crazy like when you said Northern Nevada, that's not what I was expecting. Like you have thrown me a curveball after another with breaking this place down. Like that is pretty insane to hear.
Yeah, it's dope. It's wild. There's like and Endow just opened up another like it's probably I want to say maybe 10 or 11 acre
Mm.
reservoir within the city
Oh wow.
that they stock with trout on the regular, and they went and shocked like a bunch of the golf course bass ponds where they were having problems with kids sneaking in.
Yeah.
And so they went and shocked a bunch of bass out of all the, I think they put 300 bass in there.
Wow.
And the first year, my buddy Anthony knows one of the dudes on Endow, and he kind of let us know about the spot before it was really like an official spot.
Yeah, yeah.
So we had like a full year of fishing it before anybody really knew about it.
Damn.
And I watched the fish grow. I think the biggest fish I caught when we first fished it was like 4.5 pounds.
Mm.
And then just this year, I got one that was around 6.
Wow. Dang, that's pretty sweet. It's cool that they did that, and that's kind of how they accumulated these fish. Like rather than making this pond start out with zooplankton and everything and working its way up, they went around, took all these bass out of these golf course ponds and dumped them in there, and now they have like already a sustained ecosystem. That's pretty legit. I don't know if I've ever heard of another state doing that, and that's like, I mean, that's a good way to get people in the area like to these lakes and stuff, like have a healthy population of bass and maybe get these kids from not getting bitched at the golf course out there and
Right.
out of trouble, being able to go to this local park pond and catch these fish. That's honestly super cool. I'm guessing that's your guys' Nevada Department of Wildlife.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So, but the cool thing about it is it was like a farm pond, like a big farm reservoir
Oh, okay.
for the farms in the area before they started like building all the housing
Mhm.
out there. And there was like catfish and carp and
Mhm.
spotted bass in it from whoever like started the pond.
Yeah.
And a couple of the I haven't caught one yet, but a couple of my homies, my buddy Anthony got one that was like 3.5 pound spot. You know, they're not
Damn.
small, they're pretty
Yeah.
good spots. But it's a cool ecosystem out there. And for Endow to like know that the bass eat the trout and they're
Mhm.
like still willing to,
Yeah.
it's cool. It's dope.
Yeah, that's legit. There's a couple states around Nevada that I'm sure everybody listening to this would wish that their Department of Wildlife would know that and stock the trout and not care about it. But unfortunately, a handful of those states over there are not into essentially what they think throwing money away for these trout to get eaten by bass. But that is super cool, and it's super cool that they open that up to the public too, because you pass. There's a bunch of lakes around here that are whether they're like watersheds or whatnot that are on public land, but they have fences around these lakes because they don't want people fishing them or whatever else it may be. So it's cool that they just straight up open it up, put fish in it, and also continually to stock it with trout. Like, dude, there's a good chance that within the next 4 years, there's double digit bass swimming around there out of the original 300 they put in there. Like that's a pretty cool thing to think about.
Right, no doubt, dude. And for northern, they're northern strains
Yeah.
too. So it's to watch them grow as fast as they've grown so far.
Hmm.
It's pretty cool, like you really see how the trout benefit their diet.
Yeah.
and their growth rates. You know what I mean? It's dope.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So being out there when you were growing up, mid 90s, early 2000s, did you so you're essentially on the West Coast. I'll just refer to it as the West Coast because that's the West Coast to me over there. But
Yeah.
were you seeing guys fish swim baits like when you were like probably right before you got out of fishing and got into music and stuff? Like, did you ever see swim baits or see them at the shops or see guys fishing them, or was it not until you came back that you started noticing them?
Yeah, I want to say I started noticing them around 2012
Okay.
and started throwing them probably around 2013, late
Okay.
2013,
Yeah.
2014, but not enough to like consider myself,
Right.
fucking heavy into it,
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then I think I caught a couple fish. And I was like, yo, this is the way to go.
Hmm.
It was like a full fucking 360 from
Right.
throwing traditional baits.
Yeah. Yeah. Being by California, did you guys have that early like 2012 to even like 2015? Could you walk into a tackle shop around you guys and buy maybe a Huddleston or like maybe a Depths or anything like that or a Bull Shad? Like was that something that you could find in your area or did you have to order it online or like run over to a California bait shop to find anything like that?
It would definitely be more of like the Southern California bait shops would be carrying that
Right.
shit. Up here, I think Sportsman's Warehouse. I don't know if you guys have that. We
Yeah,
have
yep.
a place called Sportsman's Warehouse, and
Mhm.
they carried the Castaic soft
Oh,
baits and
yeah.
the Huddlestons.
Okay.
So I think the Huddleston was like maybe one of the first baits that I really fucked with. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I caught like a 3 or a 4 on it, and I was like, "This is cool." But then uh, when I started getting into the jointed baits, I actually drew a Bart Simpson holding up these two fish,
Hmm.
and Ben Donati from Lowdown
Yeah.
hit me up for it, and he was like, "Yo, that artwork's rad. Um, would you be willing to trade like a reel and a couple baits?" And I was like, "Oh, hell yeah, dude." So I like sent in the artwork, and he sent me a tatula and a couple of those Nekasagi. Damn, what the hell are they called? It's like damn near a tiny clash. You know what I
Oh,
mean? Like
yeah, yeah. I have an idea what you're talking
it's that
about.
triple X Nekasagi something. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they're dope. They're a dope little bait. They're damn near same thing ish as a tiny clash. So I started throwing those and immediately had results and was like,
Mm.
dude, these are fucking tight.
Right, yeah.
And then my buddy Nick and I went to one of the BABC shootouts
Mm.
down in the
Yep.
Bay Area.
Yeah.
And they did this like swim baits only tournament
Hmm.
on the Delta. And he had a boat, so we both went out and I think we placed like 18th out of like fucking 63 boats or
Oh,
some
geez.
shit. But to like but we didn't like go down there and practice or
Right,
nothing.
yeah,
Like we
yeah.
just went down there. You know what I mean? It was cool. But so to kind of like uh get my bearings doing it that way.
Mhm.
And I caught 3 fish that day, and I think they were like 3 pounds. You know what I mean? They were all like fucking tiny fish, but it was fun, dude. And I was like, man, this is sick. And then we had entered this raffle for the main event down there,
Mm.
and my my number won like the grand raffle,
Oh yeah.
and it was literally everything on the fucking table, dude. I walked up there and there was so much shit. It was like, a big fold out
Yeah,
table.
yeah.
And I'm like, so what do I get? And I think it might have been Caesar that was up there on the microphone. He was like, fucking everything, So I after that it was like wide open,
Mm,
every fucking I like basically gave up all my uh regular terminal tackle, and I've
yeah.
just been swim baiting ever since, dude.
Yeah. So before you got into the swim baits, were you mixed like was your art influenced by like the fishing scene at all? Like were you doing anything too crazy, or was it not until you kind of got into the swim bait world, or maybe like found the swim baits and maybe made a couple connections or seen people that you started to kind of not, I don't want to say base your art around that, but do like swim bait inspired artwork and stuff like that, like we see now from you?
All right, so when I was probably like 13, I think, we there's this place down by our house in Baja called Punta Colorado. It's shut down now. I think they're like uh refurbishing the whole
Oh,
hotel, but they used to do like charters out of this hotel.
mm,
Like guided day boats,
yeah,
on pongas and shit out of the hotel. And back then there was only like two or three houses out on the estate that we built our house on.
hmm,
I don't even think our house was built back then. But my dad took me to a dinner there one night with one of his buddies, and there was all these like old drunk fishermen. And my dad's homie was like, "You should just draw some like marlins and shit for these guys and try and sell them at the bar." And I was
yeah,
like, "Damn, that's a good idea." And I think I made like 60 or 70 bucks that night selling them for $10 a pop.
hmm,
And so I've always kind of had that fishing
mm,
influence behind
yeah,
my artwork.
okay,
Aside from like graffiti, I've always kept my graffiti completely separate
yeah,
from my actual art because
mm,
I've gone to school for art down in mainland Mexico, and like art is my life, you know what I mean? So but I've always kept graffiti and artwork separate. But I think 2 years before I really started swim baiting, I was producing the artwork with, I would do like cartoon characters holding up bass.
hmm,
And then the swim bait community is what really like grabbed onto that. And I
mm,
think it's because I had like won all those baits and shit at that raffle and was
right,
probably like hashtagging swim baits in my like Instagram posts,
yeah,
So like I think that's kind of where it started. And then Danny from Blanked asked me to essentially like invent the Blanked logo for him
mm,
or with him.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yep,
I can't take full credit on it, but we did work on it together. And so that's how I built a relationship with Danny. And then that's how I met Caesar. And then I started working for Stay Bent. And then Raphael from TRT USA hit me up and asked for like a piece of artwork that he could give to Tamoya when
oh,
he
that's sweet,
was setting up the DRT USA
yeah,
whole their deal, right?
hmm,
And so he brought that original artwork to Tamoya as a gift, and like that kind of started a relationship with Raphael and I, and
mm,
it's just been like I've done shit for like Guggen Squad, like John B.
Yeah,
He's a homie. Um, Jigging with Jordan,
yeah,
done a lot of artwork for him. Um, I don't know, man. It's been like it's kind of like spiraled out, but in a good way, you know what
mhm,
I mean? And like the cool thing about it is with artwork is you end up like creating a relationship with all these people. It's
yeah,
so dope.
yeah, dude.
And
That's freaking
and
quite
then
the
fishing
start.
on top of it, you know, like
Yeah,
what's up?
I said that's quite the intro to it. Quite the intro to the swim bait art scene. Like how you went about it.
Right? Yeah, it's been crazy, dude. It's been so cool. It's been fun.
When yeah, so like when you like did you have an idea that it was gonna go to where it's at now? Like when you and Danny were going back and forth, did you ever expect to, you know, just kind of be where you're at today, like working with so many people and so many people sharing your stuff, supporting your stuff? I'm sure you have a good amount of people reach out and ask for commission work. Like, where did you ever expect this to stem from like the fishing scene, or did you think it was gonna kind of come happen differently?
I definitely didn't expect it, but it was definitely a goal, you know what
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Because my life has been like so fishing orientated.
Mhm.
You know, I eat, breathe, and fucking sleep this shit. And so it's always been a goal to have my life, you know, my job based
Mhm.
around fishing, and it's been cool watching it, you know, like I haven't expected it, but I definitely, it was definitely like a goal of mine.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. What when you were doing the cartoon stuff, like the cartoon characters, was that like were you trying to, get like I say exposed? Were you trying to like get caught up in the swim bait world, or was that just essentially something you like doing and it just so happened the swim bait guys really took an extra liking to it and kind of shared it around?
It was, it was definitely not geared towards a certain genre, any genre
Yeah,
of
yeah,
fishing. I was just doing, you know what I mean? I was like, I feel like characters that everybody knows that are holding a bass is going to be something that everybody wants to
yeah,
do.
yeah,
And it's crazy because this dude that had like probably 12,000 or 13,000 followers at the time, and I probably had like 500,
yeah,
totally ripped it, dude. And like, and you know, like, and I even called him out. And he was like, oh, he was like, trying to get me for slander or something crazy. And I was like, yo, you stole my like,
yeah,
but that was like my graffiti side, like, you fucking biter, you know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
Like, so like, but I think throughout time I realized like you can't do that. You're not gonna get anything
mhm,
from, you know what I mean? Like it is what it is, dude. You know, he like,
yeah,
and who knows, he could have came up with the idea solely on his own,
mhm,
but the like I remember for sure the time frames were like correlated not in his favor, you know what
right,
I mean?
yeah. If do you remember who it was? Like, not telling you to name drop or anything, but do you remember who it was who did it?
I really don't. I want to say that it was like a dude that like did more like fly fishing
Oh,
stuff,
oh, geez.
and it was just wild to me because it was like a blatant ripoff, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? I was like, damn, man, like it's, but you learn, you know what I mean?
right.
So I've always like always tried to stay ahead of the game and
Mhm.
keep my style essentially, but
Yeah.
always switch it up and like not stay doing
Hmm.
stagnant shit.
Yeah. Did that like, they say what is it, like impersonations the sincerest form of flat, or however, I know that's not the right thing, but did that like maybe not necessarily make you feel good, but you're like, damn, like somebody with a crap ton of followers trying to replicate what I'm doing. Like I must be doing something right. Like there must be interest in it outside of the people that I'm showing it to. Like this guy took the time to mock up his own version and share it to his followers. Like I'm on the right path.
Um, Nowadays I would feel that way,
Right.
but at the time I was like, fuck this dude. You
Yeah, yeah.
know what I mean? It like didn't even cross my mind. I was just like, yo, fuck this guy. Like, that's whack. But like I said, it was more like my graffiti side coming out because I didn't even have a kid back then. So I was
Mhm.
more, definitely more like angsty, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely get that. When you were, did it ever, I guess like when it started taking off, like when you started doing a lot of artwork for other people, whether it was commission or gifts or whatever else it may be, just being in front of your computer or drawing tablet, however you work, did you ever feel like it was taking away from your fishing time? Like did you like were you like, damn, like I'm spending more time drawing, fishing related stuff than I'm actually out doing this? Or and if it was, did that ever bother you, or did you enjoy, were you getting just as much fun out of that as you were if you were to go out fishing that day?
I would say it's like half and half. It started out half and half, but the way the cool way it works out is most people want the graphic design work done for the most part
Mhm.
in the off season when they're not fishing.
Yeah.
So the winter time, like the during the winter, I'm fucking busy, dude. Like
Right.
up to my neck,
Yeah, yeah.
and during the summer, it's like more spring, fall, but spring to fall usually it's like I wouldn't say slow. I'm usually constantly doing graphic work,
Yeah.
but it worked out well that way. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? And I tattoo, so like
Yeah.
the off seasons correlate with each
Mhm.
other that way too. It's tight,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so does like our mural work. We do like big. We My buddy that I tattoo with Anthony, he's also a swim baiter too,
Mm.
which is tight because there's not a lot of us in Reno, but
Yeah.
uh we do murals together, and that time frame kind of works out well too, you know what I mean, where in the summertime when it's hella hot we can
Yeah. Yeah.
just be working on murals. So and usually like when we go on our mural trips we'll bring all of our fishing stuff with us too, and I've been able to plug some good fucking fish on those trips, dude, up in Washington and
Yeah. Yeah.
uh Oregon and shit.
Mhm.
I got a seven in Oregon and
Holy.
a fish in Washington on the Snake River
Yeah.
that was like it was a high five for sure. I didn't have a scale,
Mhm.
but it was a high five, no doubt, on the river. And I got that one in like a 3.5 back to back on a tiny clash.
Dang.
No, actually the Nekasagi
Oh, oh, yeah, yeah.
that triple X soggy bait. It was one of those like hand painted like a rainbow trout.
That's sweet.
But yeah, that was a cool ass. Those were dope catches. But yeah, it's rad. Like being able to travel and go and hit all these spots that you normally wouldn't
Mhm.
be able to fish, and like actually plug in good fish because
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
throwing big baits and shit. It's dope,
Mhm.
dude.
Right, right. So we'll get off the art for a little while because I'm sure uh some guys just want to hear about the fishing stuff. So we'll obviously talk about the fishing
Yeah,
stuff and kind
yeah.
of move over to that a little bit more. So like 2013, 2014, like when you were getting into it, fishing the hut a lot. What was like when you first got into it, what was your setup like? Did you have like maybe a jig rod that you were using or kind of like what were you fishing those HUDs on at the time?
It was a jig rod, but I cannot remember what kind of jig rod it was. And then I want to say like 2015, I got that one of those Okuma
Oh, the guide select.
uh the, the big bait travel
Yeah,
rods because I
yeah, yeah.
wanted to be able to like travel with it and
Mhm.
shit. and I was fishing a travel rod forever, and then the Dobbins Fury series
Mm.
came out, and I started fucking with those for a while. That was a dope rod to like basically throw everything on.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, the HUDs were definitely like all on that Okuma travel rod, which is dope. It's a good HUD rod. It's so
Yeah.
stout, but like throwing any kind of um treble hook bait on it is just like,
A nightmare.
unless you're like super close quarters where
Mhm.
they're eating it right at the bank and you can just immediately flip
Yeah.
them, which is like kind of what I actually learned how to do really well with that rod.
Mm.
So it taught me how to like fish in a different style, which was tight.
Mhm.
And it's a very efficient way to fish is getting those fish to commit right before,
Hmm.
right at your feet
Yeah.
essentially, and
Yep.
you don't there is no play, you know what I
Right.
mean? I don't sit there and fucking figure eight the
Yeah.
rod back and forth with the fish on the hook. As soon as they eat that shit, I bendo that rod
Yeah.
and get them up on the bank.
Mhm.
And usually I'll like kind of straddle the fish so I don't cause a bunch of stress on the fish and let
Yeah.
it flop around,
Mhm.
and then we'll take pictures and get weights as quick as we can and hold the fish in the water in a net if we have
Yeah.
to. But on the bank, I bank fish a lot, probably 90% of the time. But I don't ever really use a net because I've got that system down. I
Mhm.
was using that Okuma rod so long that
Right.
that system is like, even with the more like, because I'm running the like Artec series rods,
Mhm.
all the DRT rods, and they're so fucking parabolic and like easy to use. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Right.
You don't even have to set the hook really, like, but even with those, like, I think I fished that way for so long that even with those, I'm still doing the same process. But this uh earlier this spring for our pre-spawn bite, I got on a that six that I was telling you about that was, and that was at the very end of my cast on a tiny clash on the Artex, I think it was the R2 rod.
Mhm.
And that whole setup is just so fucking, it's so dope, dude.
This
It's
like brings us perfectly. So, excuse me. When before you did the artwork for Raphael and Tomoya, did you at the time like were you into DRT stuff? Was DRT stuff really? I can't imagine it was too crazy available if Raphael wasn't doing DRT USA and stuff at the time. But like, were you familiar with who Tomoya was and like the whole company before that, or wasn't it till after that you kind of learned about the Japanese swim bait scene and that, the DRT stuff specifically?
I was familiar with Tomoya. I was familiar with DRT because this company called Structure. You ever heard of Structure Japan?
I think so. It sounds very
They're
familiar.
not they're not really around anymore. I don't really see them post very much, but I did a couple designs for them back in the day. And I think Fog, and they've done like shit through DRT as well. And I think I found DRT through them. And then I think that's probably how Raphael found out who I was
Mm.
because of the artwork that I did for Structure.
Okay. So dang, that's pretty sweet. And if you had to like pick just a general time frame, what year do you think that was?
I would say 2016.
That's what I was thinking too. I was figuring that USA started probably like 2017, 2018. That for some reason that timeline like stuck out to me. So before that, I mean, we could probably get DRT stuff and baits and stuff at the time, but like after that, did you like did since you kind of knew Raphael and obviously had worked with him, like were you able to kind of get the hook up and get some baits from him before anybody else and like start fishing them and learning what the DRT baits were like here?
Yeah, I think he sent me a tiny clash and he sent me a couple burial handles.
Mm,
And I think that was it. In the maybe a Joker,
mm,
but he definitely like fucking hooked me up, and
yeah.
I was stoked. You know what I mean? Like, and then I think I lost the tiny clash like 2 weeks, and I didn't fish one for probably 4 years, dude. I was fishing a canine before I was fishing the tiny
Okay, okay,
clash.
okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
And then I got on the tiny clash and I was like, yo, this is like, cause like the tiny clash is just a different bite, you
Hmm.
know, like
100%.
everything's eating that shit.
Yeah.
And fucking so you go from like seeing followers all day and maybe like 3 or 4 actual fish committing to it to a canine and then throwing the tiny clash and like every single fish is fucking destroying that shit.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, this is dope. So I throw the tiny clash a lot.
Mm,
And then around the same time, I was also doing work for Elude.
okay.
I've been on board with Elude for that whole time since
That's awesome.
2000, that's maybe 17.
Wow.
And
That seems like
Lendl,
so long ago. Oh my gosh.
yeah, dude. And like I started out just doing like Saturday morning cartoons, and it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like each one would feature like an elude bait and like a new cartoon character holding a bass. But then he had me design 2 baits for him,
Mm,
and I just fucking absolutely just smashed on them, which was it's been awesome. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
so I've like designed stuff on the regular for him throughout the years, you know what I mean? And I've stayed loyal to his company too, because the Rad Rat is one of the illest baits of all time, dude. And fishing that bait at night, if you have not done that, like jump on it, dude. Like I fished a lot of rats at night. I fished at night for 15 plus years.
Hmm.
It's like one of my favorite ways to fish.
Hmm.
And the Rad Rat is fucking top 2 baits, like if not number 1 for me. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like I've seen people throwing like all types of shit. I'll put on a Rad Rat and it's just like fish after fish. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But so yeah, I've stayed super loyal to Elude too. Lendel's a super super good
Super cool
dude.
guy. Yeah.
I'm not religious at all, but
Yeah.
he's like such a good dude and like
Mm,
he's been so what's the word? He's just been so generous with his
yeah.
time and his baits and his knowledge
Hmm.
throughout the years that like I don't care if you fucking believe in if the world's flat, bro. If you're a solid person, like fucking, you know.
Yeah.
So Lendl, he's a super good dude, and that's another company that I've really backed throughout the time, you know.
Right. Yeah. I want to rewind it real quick because you had mentioned not really liking the TK for that 2 weeks you had it. And dude, for the guys who maybe weren't around at the time, you guys got to think that there was only 3 or 4 ways to fish the tiny clash at the time. We had the standard lip and the whale tail. That was really all we had when it first came out. Like that bait
Yeah,
never enticed me too much until some of the other stuff started coming out, and that wasn't until around COVID or a little after COVID, a little before COVID. But yeah, dude, like back when the K9s came in the white and black boxes and Cali Dream, like the first run of Cali Dream was available, like there was not like it was viewed as like the Swiss Army knife bait back then because you could crank it, you could glide it, And then you look at it now and you're like, oh my gosh, we've come so far. Now we've got 4 or 5 lips, 3 different tail variants. Like so much stuff has happened with that bait that that platform wasn't even thought about back in the day. And I say back in the day like an Uncle Rico moment, but it was a lot different of a time for that bait back in the day. So I definitely understand why the K9 was more of a drawing factor than the TK was back then.
Right, yeah. And I feel like when I got it, I was so concerned with like trying to like customize it and
Mm,
fucking, like do
mhm.
all the like crazy shit that it did.
Yeah.
So I didn't really explore the stock options
Mhm,
per se, and they ended up being my favorite ways to fish both the baits
mhm.
is just with the like regular lip
Yeah.
and the tail up, and you fucking crank it down like 3 or 4 feet and just dead walk that shit around
Yeah.
cover, or if you know where fish are suspending or
Mhm.
whatever, you know what I mean, and it kills it.
Yeah.
And even the deep lip too is like pretty dope during the colder months, like late February, early March. I'll use that deeper diving lip and
Mhm.
pull it down until I hit the bottom and dead walk it down on the bottom too. And it's cool how much you can do that without getting hooked up on anything. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I
Yeah.
would say the only downside to fishing the bait like that is that the fish tend to want to pin the bait against the ground. And so a lot of the time, I wouldn't say a lot of the time, but probably 50-50, it's like just going to push that bait into the ground and you're not going to get a hookup. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. That definitely makes sense. Yeah, dude, I'm just thinking about the Tiny Clash back in the day. And that was the other thing. Like, it was advertised as this crazy bait that you could do all this stuff with. And it's like, how do I know what to fish, when to fish? Like, am I going to fish it in glide mode for 3 weeks and not catch a fish on it, and then crank it for one day and catch 20 fish on it and never fish it this way again? Like, it was, uh, it was like ahead of its time back in the day because guys were getting one glide bait and it was either back in the day it was a wide glide. You'd buy a glide bait and it was a wide glide. You'd buy a wake bait and it was a wake bait or a crank down. Like there wasn't many multiple fishy like multiple technique baits. Like now you have wake and cranks, you got all these glide baits that you can kind of slow fish and fish fast and stuff back then that wasn't a thing. So to have so many baits wrapped up into one, it was kind of it was really for myself it was overwhelming. Like how do I decide what the hell I'm gonna do today and tomorrow when I fish this thing? Uh
Right.
so yeah, I mean it was ahead of its time to say the least. When you
Yes.
got like once you figured out the K9 bite and or I guess were you're talking about night fishing and kind of it sounds like probably a wake bait guy essentially. Were you ever into the glides or was like the TK and K9 what got you into like a more glide bait style fishing?
Yeah, it was definitely the TK and the canine that made me transition into fishing the 250s and shit essentially.
Hmm.
And the 250s dope. I love that bite too, but it's just more it's a way different application than a canine to me. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like the like you were just saying, like the canine isn't really like a wide glide type
Hmm.
bait. So I'm sure dudes can mod them to get them to
Yeah.
do that, but the way you're really fishing a canine is doing that choppy glide
Mhm.
type shit. And I that is what transitioned me into the glide. But I do prefer that canine bite over a 250 because I'm just like I like being consistently I'm ADD super
Yeah,
hard.
yeah.
So like I have to be constantly moving and
Mhm.
like that like real methodical like
Thinking about your glide down there.
glide.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just like I'm like if I don't get bit in like 10 minutes on a 250, I'm like, yeah, I switch back to a K9 or a TK. You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah.
But at night, I'm usually throwing a rad rat. But
Mm,
if they're not eating um top water, I'll fish the TK and K9 at night too. More so the TK
mm,
because I don't like fishing super heavy baits at night.
mm. Yeah. Do uh do you remember when the Ghost came out? Like when the Ghost came out, was that a bait you were like, oh man, I like the TK, I like the Clash 9. Yeah, I assume that you had a decent time or you at least were fond of the Joker with how you're talking about like wake bait fishing. Like was the Ghost when it came out, were you like, oh man, like that's something I need or like I'm content with the 250 and the K9? Or like what was your thought when you'd seen that and like you knew we were gonna get them in the US? Did you be like, oh man, I need to talk to Raphael and see if I can snag one like off a drop. Like what was your mindset when the Ghost came to America?
I the I love all of Tamoya's baits, but the ghost, I was just like the reservoirs around me are pretty much like solely northern
Mm,
strain bass.
yeah,
And so the ghost was like I didn't have the right setup at the time to be throwing it. I had an F5, but the F5 is a custom F5 and I didn't like the spiral wrap on it,
oh,
so I wasn't throwing it as much as I should have been, and I think that deterred me from buying like bigger baits.
mm,
But then now that I have I think it's the Cyclone, yeah, the
yeah,
bigger Artex, the Cyclone. Um, I've gotten back into the like bigger baits, you know what I mean? So throwing a ghost now is like way more in my realm of shit, but
yeah,
I don't fish the California side as much as I should be, as much as I'm fishing like our Nevada shit, you know
mm,
what I mean?
mm,
Nevada is like solely northern strain and smallmouth, and I'm like they're keyed in on fucking like 6 to 7 inch citizens and
mm,
tiny clashes and the rad rat, like rodents at night.
yeah,
Desert bass fucking love them, dude. But
mm,
so it wasn't really in my like wheelhouse, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Like yeah, cool bait, but I have no use to get one or buy one. My fish aren't on that bite type feeling probably.
Right. And now like I actually just quit drinking too. Like I've been sober for almost a year now. And
Hell
like
yeah,
now that I haven't been drinking too, I've been like finding myself getting back way more into like trying to go and like go to even more new spots.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? So
yeah. Like
like
explore a little
definitely throw
more.
exactly. And so throwing those bigger baits is like some that I've been like looking into, you know what I mean? And like the the Slimer that I designed for Elude, he made an XL version that is in between the canine and the queen in the ghost.
Oh damn.
And I have like 4 or 5 of those. So I need to start throwing that. Like, you know, fucking some I need to jump on for sure. But
Right. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. So, man, the DRT stuff is just super cool. How like how it seems like you were early on that train and like kind of getting to fish all those things or getting to fish like the K9 and the Tiny Clash and stuff. When like did the K9 open you up to maybe looking at other glides or like the 250? Like did that open you up to maybe looking at XYZ glide bait, whether it was like a production glide bait or a resin glide bait? Like, were you like, okay, I'm kind of these baits are pretty cool. I'm gonna maybe test the water, see if there's stuff outside the ABS like manufacturing, like one of these garage guys, and see if anybody else makes something that's up my alley for a glide bait.
Yeah, and it's cool too because like I said, when I won that raffle, I won like, I think probably 30 baits.
Holy crap!
Dude, it was insane. I won a iRod, the Genesis 2,
Yeah,
um, like 30 baits, a bunch of shirts, hella shit, dude. It was crazy. And I won a bunch of glide baits. And so at that time, like after I've been throwing the canine and shit, I was like, maybe I should give these glide baits that have just been sitting in my garage for the last like 6 years a fucking try, you know what I mean? And then yeah, I slowly figured out that the like chop glide bait style was more my thing, you know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah, once you realize that there's a difference or like that there's two different style glide baits and you're like, okay, this is like if I can't stand still, like how you're mentioning this choppy glide bait is what I'm gonna do, especially fishing like smaller bodies of water. Like you can pitch those up against you can parallel them to the banks, and you'll just watch these fish just push up and smash this bait, and it's just such a fun reaction bait, and it sounds like it's the perfect bait for you. So now like where we're at today, 2025, you got to look around and be like, oh my gosh, there are so many choppy glide baits. Like if I was to ever want 20 new baits, these are the 20 I'm going to get because there's so many options out there now. Like compared to, even 5 years ago, like a choppy bait was really not necessarily a thing that anybody made or talked about. Yeah, there was baits that you could do it like the K9 and maybe a couple other production baits like the S Waver you could kind of chop a little bit and maybe like the Shine Glide, but there wasn't anybody in their garage really making them to my knowledge. So now there's just so many options out there. It's kind of, yeah, I mean, it's overwhelming. Straight up, it's overwhelming.
Back then, I was fishing those SCF ones, the
Oh
eludes.
yeah. I've got the resin version. So the flash decoy version, dude, that
Oh yeah,
is
that bait too.
dude, that is such a
Fire.
fun bait. Oh my gosh, that is such a, it's like it's a glide mixed with a fluke, and that's what I told Lyndall when I saw him last year. I'm like, man, this bait is the most
Dude,
fun river smallmouth bait ever made. Oh my gosh, they
yo,
come
I was
unglued for
just gonna
that.
say that thing smashes the smallies,
Yeah.
dude. So hard. They come unglued for that thing. It's dope. But yeah, um, yeah, back then, other than those like the SCF one and the flash decoy, there wasn't really much on the market.
Mhm.
And nowadays, I feel like everyone's making them.
Yeah.
But I would say my favorite all-time chop bait glide are the 86.
Mm. See, I
Those
have,
86 bait.
yeah, I only have the Andromeda, so you can kind of fish that glide a little bit faster, but I haven't tried any of the smaller stuff. I've seen this, what's the smaller one? Is it the Sentinel or is that the three piece? Man, I can't remember which
I think
one.
the Sentinel is the three
That's what I was
piece. What
thinking
is the
too.
small one?
Is that the Doom Rider?
Yeah, it's the
Yeah, yeah.
Doom Rider, I
Dude,
believe.
the ones he's been posting, like the ones he's dropping, I think on Friday or Saturday, those little like bluegill ones that are like 6 inches, dude, those, oh my gosh, those look so good. Between the paint and like his style of like shaping the bait and stuff, dude, they look so freaking good.
Yeah, no doubt. And Matt is like one of the nicest dudes
Oh,
I've
100%.
ever met.
Yeah.
He's such a sweet dude. Like I'll
It's
fucking support that guy all day. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
It's
But
it's
yeah,
interesting to
his
I was just gonna say it's interesting to see like we've mentioned so many people and every time we've stopped and talked about how nice they are, how genuine they are, how down to earth they are. It could just be because this is like the side of the fishing world that I surround myself in, but dude, you hear about these guys, like whether they're tournament guys or guys who work for these bigger companies or whoever else, some other person in the fishing industry, and like, dude, you hear about these guys just being complete a-holes to a lot of people, whether it's at events or meetups or whatever else it may be, run into him at a boat ramp. But like, yeah, there's a couple bad apples, but dude, a lot of the guys in the swim bait scene, whether they're trying to be a hard ass or not, like a lot of these guys are down to earth, just some of the nicest guys I've ever met. And I can say that because I've met. I was fishing with a bait builder on last week on Sunday, and he's like, "How many builders have you met?" And I ran through the whole list, and he's like, "Oh my gosh!" I'm like, "Dude, like every single person that I named, I'm like, this is a genuinely good guy that I could call and have up a conversation with for an hour and a half, and it wouldn't even make a difference to them. Like, I don't know, maybe, like I said, maybe it's just because it's what I surround myself with, but everybody in the scene seems like they're just a great dude.
Oh, yeah, no doubt, dude. I would say 95%
Yeah.
of the people that I've interacted with and done work for, or even just, like communicated with through fishing or about fishing or whatever, 95% of them are super dope people. You know what I mean? Like good people. So it's cool. Like it's like I was saying earlier, being an artist for this community has been fucking awesome, man. Like meeting all the builders and brand makers, and you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like it's just been fucking really cool.
Is there ever like any stuff that somebody commissions or maybe you put out and somebody wants to buy? Is it ever hard for you to come off your artwork? Like, oh, dude, I wish I could keep this for myself. Like, I want to put it on a shirt for myself. Like, is there ever any time where you make an art piece and you're like, oh, this is almost too good. Like, I wish this was just, I wish I could keep this.
Yeah, there's been like a couple of times where I felt that way, but I'm usually like so fucking hard on, like very critical of
Mm,
myself. So, half the time I'm like, dog, this could be so much better. And then the person's like, yo, this is sick.
yeah.
And like tripping it. So it's like it kind of goes both ways. Like I'll either be like, damn, this is dope, man. I don't want to get rid of this shit, or
Yeah.
I'm like, this is fucking whack, and they like it. And sometimes I'm like, this is hella dope, and the person is like,
Can we
nah,
change
dude,
this?
this ain't it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's
I
it's
definitely
like it's all
understand that.
different. Like, yeah.
It, yeah, it
The
is what it
crazy
is.
thing is like all the dudes using AI now, dude. What the fuck?
Dude, it's kind of crazy. I was gonna ask you about
Come
that. That
on,
was
man.
something I wrote down.
Yeah, don't use AI, hire an artist.
Yeah,
That's fucking crazy.
it it
And
it's
if you're
interesting.
hurting on money, like just be truthful and like say give me your budget and I'll be willing to work with you. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah.
but
That's
yeah,
one
the
thing.
AI wild.
Yeah, that's one thing I try not to do. And just because like you said, I enjoy working with somebody and being able to see what they come up with. Like I have some pretty crazy ideas, and if I can convey my ideas to you and then you put your artist twist or flair onto it, I'm like, dude, that's what makes it unique. Like your style, somebody if somebody's familiar with your work, they can look at something and be like, "Oh yeah, that's a piece of Goonie Wolf right there." Like it's just it's so cool. And then you see, I mean, dude, there's some people that I have on Facebook that are outside of the swim bait industry that their whole brand is built on AI stuff. And like I'm gonna sound like I'm hating on people for it, but it's not. It's like whatever, obviously. But they like brand this as they're the wizard behind it. Like, oh yeah, I know how to write a prompt, so that means that this is badass. I'm like, yeah, it's cool. It's cool to see guys, making a not making a name for themselves, but like making product and selling stuff. But it's like, dude, like you could send this like artwork idea to somebody else, and they would come up with something pretty badass. Like I promise you that. But people are going to do what they want, and some guys, just as some guys don't see the reason of buying an original bait over a KO, somebody's not going to want to pay an artist if they can have AI do it for free or for a cheap monthly subscription. Like it's an interesting time we live in, to say the least. I think I've said that a couple episodes now. It's just a very interesting time.
Yeah, no doubt, dude. The even the like the ability to use some of these programs that we use for just graphic design, like you can upload a picture and just trace it
Mm,
and trace a bunch of other pictures and essentially create a Photoshop with drawings that, with pictures that you're tracing.
yeah,
So you're kind of tricking people into thinking that you're the one doing it. You know what I mean? And like,
mhm,
if you've gone to school for it, for graphic design layout, and you know how to do it, it works. But a lot of these cats that claim to be graphic designer, not even in the fishing industry in general. I'm not like, you know, clowning on dudes in the fishing industry that do it, but just in general on Instagram in
yeah,
general, it's like you get all these people that just trace other pictures that they find off the internet, and that you're still kind of getting that AI effect. It's
yeah,
not as like it's not as genuine, you know what I mean? Like it kind of loses that original touch, dude. And it's even that's kind of sad to see. It's like I don't know, but at the same time, Instagram is dope, dude. It's how I run my business and
yeah,
fucking so it's like I just gotta hustle harder, man, you know?
yeah. Yeah, it's gotten interesting in the last couple years, like with what you see, and kind of you could definitely tell once guys start to fall into it. Like you'll see one thing get posted that's AI, and then it's just like it's a domino effect, and everything they're posting is AI. Which, like I said, if that's what you're into, then I guess that's what you're into. But it's also, I don't know, when I see AI stuff, like it all, not that it looks the same, but they all have the same characteristics, whether it's like the colors or the textures and stuff. It's like, dude, this guy's logo looks like this guy's logo. Completely different things. Like one's a bait company and the other's whatever else it may be, like a cooking company or something. Just throw something out there that I've seen before. And it's like these are definitely made off OpenAI, whether it's ChatGPT or whatever else it may be. Like there's not, I don't think that the AI stuff can brand itself yet, if that makes sense. Like there's no like contributing factors for it to being like a unique thing outside of whatever it's drawing. Like it doesn't have a style to replicate or anything like that. It just copies other styles it sees. It's very weird to think about.
Right, right. It's trying to guess that vector, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yep.
I don't know how else to put it, but it's like that's why they all end up looking the same because they're all using the same engine
Yeah.
and it's trying to guess the vector type, I would say. I don't know. I'm not really tech fucking savvy. Like, I use
Yeah.
Procreate
Yeah.
and I draw shit, dude. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like, but I know that is what's happening. That AI is trying to guess that vector and it's
Mhm.
not, so it's all ending up looking
Right.
the same.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's a fucking pig with an apron on or a bass with a lure in its mouth. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Yep. And dude,
So it's
and,
like
and that's
I
my biggest thing is if you make something like, say I want a logo, fishing logo, XYZ, this is all what I want on the prompt for the AI, and there's like a couple things you don't like, dude, you have to go through and try to like curate that prompt to fit exactly how you want it to and like generate it 20 different times till it comes out to something you want. Dude, you send me, if I send you something or I give you an idea, you send me a piece of artwork, I'm like, hey, dude, can we change this out and change this color? Oh, yeah, dude. A day, 2 days later, boom, my logo's back and it's less hair pulling. I don't have to sit in front of my computer for 2 hours. And it's like, dang, like I paid this guy for a service. He gave me the service. He's happy. I'm happy. He's got money in his wallet, and I've got a cool piece of art that I'm gonna generate revenue from too. Like everybody wins here. Nobody's getting, essentially ripped off and whatnot. And I also think like when I see AI stuff on shirts, like people are trying to sell like logoed shirts or whatever else it may be, it's just like like you don't have any money into this. Like you have no skin in the game. I don't know. Maybe that's like snobby of me to say, but it's like, dude, if I know like somebody drew that, they busted their hump to draw that, it's totally unique. It's everything that that guy wanted. He didn't cut corners on it. Like that's sick. That's the type of stuff I want to wear.
Oh yeah, no doubt, dude. And me, like with my background and my critique on artwork and shit, like I can spot it out
Yo.
immediately.
Yep.
And I myself, I would never fucking in a million years buy an AI generated fucking t-shirt, dude. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless it was just writing.
Hmm.
If it was a shirt that like was just like type
Hmm.
that I liked, yeah, but not a piece of artwork. I'm gonna be like, damn, this shit's whack as fuck.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so, but yeah, no, I'm on the same. I feel the same way, dude. It's wild, but people that there is enough people that understand that want the real thing. So it's and I've been around long enough that I don't really have a hard time finding clients. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Do you get asked a lot or like is that something that gets inquired as if you do like legitimate prints like or like if you make a piece of artwork like do you see guys getting prints made of it? Because that's like something again that is pretty cool. I know like Lyndall has all those prints that he sells like at the shows and stuff, which is super badass. I saw a couple when I was at the gathering with him, but like is that something that you see quite frequently? Because that dude, that like when somebody likes something enough and they in trust that people are going to like it, that they pay the money to put it on a piece of canvas or on a press board or whatever else it may be to sell. Like that's when I'm like, okay, like these guys freaking love this logo. Like they want this hanging up in people's garages or bait rooms or whatever else. So is that like is like what do you I guess this is I just rounded this question off really weird, but like what do you take as like the highest honor as an artist? Like if somebody obviously being a tattoo guy, like if somebody has you draw something and tattoo it on them, that's got to be pretty damn crazy and probably one of the highest, like feelings there is out there. But like outside of the tattooing and more so like in the swim bait side of things, like if you make a logo for somebody and they do something crazy with it, like what's that thing that you're like, damn, like they freaking loved that.
yeah, I'm honestly not like a very ego driven person at all. So like I don't really ever think about that kind of stuff, but I will say that two times that throughout my career, actually it's been more than twice for sure, but two times that I can think of off the top of my head where I felt like a certain type of way,
Yeah.
like fucking some heartfelt
Hmm.
shit was uh showing up at one of the toxic days and like fuck, I want to say like 12 booths had my artwork rocking on
That's
their
sweet. Yeah.
shit, and that was pretty that was a pretty humbling experience, you know what I mean? And then the other one would be I do artwork for this cat that's a guide out in Papua New Guinea. He's a guide for like GT and the black bass and shit.
Yeah.
And he's I've done like a bunch of artwork for him, but he sent me this picture of one of the like the native Papuans climbing this fucking palm tree with this like giant banner floating in the wind with my artwork on it. And
Damn.
he's like 30 feet up in this palm tree in the jungle in Papua
Yeah.
New Guinea. I was like, that's fucking tight, dude.
That's like wow, that's badass.
Yeah, that one made me feel good. I was like, I felt accomplished, you know what
Mm,
I mean? But
yeah.
I would say I feel good doing any logo though, you know what I mean? I'm
Mm,
always like
right.
I'm I'm always stoked to help people out, especially the smaller businesses that are just getting on their feet.
Yeah.
Because I usually charge like $400 for a design, but
Mhm.
the dudes that are just starting out, where I know that that's like pretty fucking insane for them, I'm always willing to cut them a deal, and that's a really good feeling too. Is like
Mhm.
being able to give back to the community in like
Right.
any way I can. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So I would say that tops that. But
Yeah. Yeah, that's super cool. I was the next question I had for you was when you're at these events, like when you're at Toxic Day, you're out and about, whatever, do people recognize you or are you pretty low key? Like, well, like, what, all right, I won't lie. Before we started recording, guys, Kyle got on and I was like, I had an idea of what your name was, but I still just had to flat out ask because if you guys aren't familiar, his username and then like the name on the username account on Instagram is just gooniewolfe, and I'm like, well, I know this mofo has a real name, so I'm just gonna have to straight up ask him because I'm just not gonna refer to him as gooniewolfe the whole time. So like, is that like? Well, I guess you post fish pictures and stuff, so people know who you are. But is it still like kind of
yeah,
a low key thing at events? Like people like look at you like, I know who that is, but I don't know who that is. Like enough to go talk to him type thing.
I would say it's a mixed bag, but I actually do get like quite a few people that come up and are like, yo, like they'll usually ask if I
Oh,
am,
yeah,
and
yeah.
so like, but I'm pretty like I'm not really like super social person, but I'm
Mm.
not shy and I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
like and I'm definitely not an asshole. So like anybody that comes up to me, I'm like, yo, what's up? And so like it's usually a good time, dude. And being able to meet people through Instagram and like seeing all those people, like
Yeah.
it's tight. And usually it's hella funny. Like
Mm.
because like you were saying, it's like, do I know that guy?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
like, you know what I mean? So it's, when I first met Nick from Cast and Crank, because he's like one of my really good friends. And when I first met him was at one of the Toxic shows, and he was like, he had just gotten done doing one of the like live
Oh, yeah, yeah,
podcasts, and
yeah.
I just walked up, and I had already done artwork for him too. He just like didn't really like recognize me.
I know where this is
And I
going.
walked up and I was like, I flipped him off, and he was like, he like looked at me all weird, and then like I was like, oh shit, dude, like I must have pissed him off, like that's weird. So I just like I think I just kept walking to the Toxic booth, and he comes up like 5 minutes later and he's like, yo, Goonie, like I didn't even really know that was you, like blah blah blah. It was hella funny, dude. But yeah, like talk Caesar and uh Nick and all those cats are really good friends and good dude. They're all good people, you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
been cool being able to meet them all and create a friendship with all of them.
Right, right, yeah. All right, dude. I got like one more big question for you, and I want to hear like what your thoughts are. What are like your top like maybe three artworks that you've done? What are like the three that stand out to you the most that you're like, damn, like yeah, that thing kicked ass. And like, dude, it could be something that you made like 5 years ago that guys still use that you still see every once in a while that you're like, oh man, like shit, I forgot how good that looked or something like that.
Damn, dude, that's a good one. Um, I would say for sure the DRT USA shirts that Raf ran. They were like the red, white, and blue
Oh,
ones. Did you
yeah,
ever
yeah.
see those?
Yep.
Those ones came out killer. And then hold on, I'm kind of going through my Instagram right now, so I can like
No, you're good. I think I know one of my favorite ones that you did, but I have to look real quick just to make sure. Uh, because this one is freaking sweet. Yeah, dude. All right, I know which one it is.
what? Which one is it?
I'm pretty sure. Did you do the Beavis and Butthead for Lindell? Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
He
Hell
had that
yeah,
on the print at the gathering, and I was like, dude, that thing is freaking sweet. It's such a funny piece of art.
dude. Fuck yeah, that's so tight. I would say the other two. Shit, dude. I love the Toxic Baits one that I did for this one.
Yeah, okay, so that's what I thought.
It's
You
like the
did the
cereal
cereal
box.
box design, right? Yeah.
Yeah. My camera's trying to follow me, dude. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's like
But
that's the boxes that the baits would come in there for like a couple years too, right? Did you design those boxes? Like
I'm
where it
not
said like
sure
the
if he.
TXC on the side. I thought it had the Lucky Charms logo on the front. Maybe it didn't. Maybe I'm mixing the two. But I know that like he had those
Yeah, I don't.
boxes
I'm
for a
not
while.
sure if he ever put them on the like retail shit. But
Oh, okay.
his homie, I know his homie is like. I think his name is Chris, I believe.
Mm.
He's like he does a lot of Caesar's artwork too, and I think that he's designing the the boxes that he
Oh,
sells
okay.
them in. But
Dude, this one is another one of my favorites.
oh hell yeah,
Dude, oh my, like this one right here, dude, I freaking love those. That's so sick.
yeah, dude, it was like that Steamboat Willie style,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
Disney before Disney, like when it
Yeah.
was still pretty dark.
Right, right, yeah.
Uh, this one's tight too because not a lot of people know that I did this one. So this one, like, and it's like another pretty big one that,
Oh, the bait religion. Yeah, that one's high up on my list too. Yeah, dude, that bait religion one is freaking sick. Hit those
yeah,
hoodies he did with that logo, dude, they came out so good.
yeah, all that shit came out rad.
Sorry if you
Yeah, I would
guys
say,
we're scrolling through our phones looking at all the artwork and stuff that he's done trying to find our favorites.
yeah,
There was another one that I was trying to find. Dude, there's just so many freaking sweet ones. The Homer elude ones are super sick too. All right, if you
yeah.
guys if you guys are watching, this is the Beavis and Butthead one I was talking about. The elude Beavis and Butthead. Dude, that one is
Yes.
so freaking good. Love that.
Honestly, like I have so much fun drawing all of them, so it's like, but yeah, I would say designing shit for the bigger companies that when
Mhm.
I was younger, I would have never really like thought that I would have those opportunities, you know?
Yeah.
Those ones are like definitely stand out.
hmm This is another old one that I really liked back in the day. The Fish Everything baby hater and
Yeah,
big hater. That was another sweet one.
yeah.
Victor had those on shirts, and I wanted one of those shirts so bad, but he didn't have any when I went over there. I was like, dude, that thing is freaking so sweet.
Victor's also another rad dude. I haven't talked to him in years, but he was always super cool to me and he's a good kid for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude,
yeah,
that's another good one. That one was on a shirt too. This was like all around the same time he got shirts, all those designs. For if you guys aren't watching, it's the trout jumping over the no fishing fence, like he's like trespassing. Because That was like right around the time Vic got in trouble. So I think that's where that shirt came from. So dude, there's just so many cool designs that you've done that people probably have seen and didn't realize that they were yours, whether they didn't know who you were, they had seen them a long time ago or whatnot. Like if you guys scroll through Kyle's page, you'll start seeing stuff. You'll be like, oh, okay. Like I remember seeing this like back in the day. Like this one, I've got this Doug one, this elude Doug picture on my old uh freaking Plano box. Like I just found it the other day and I'm
Yeah,
like,
man,
wow,
yeah.
there's some old elude stickers on here.
Let's see. Yeah, I did the packaging for the creep, the Beast Coast creep too.
Oh, really? Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, here you go, right here. There he is.
Oh, nice, dude. Hell yeah.
I found this box the other day. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many old stickers on here, like all the old BABC stickers that they don't do anymore. I'm like, wow, this is like a relic from when I
I've
first got
I've done
into it.
I've done stuff for him too.
That's sick. Dude, there's so many things that you have done that you have like put your touch on in the community and whether guys realize it or not, like if they see a logo, there's a good chance that you like touched it and it's just like wow. Like there's a handful of guys in the swim bait community who like carry the brunt of all the artwork and you're definitely up at the top. Like I remember, man, I don't even remember when it was, like 2018 or 19, like we were trying to get a logo made, like a small group of us for a page, and you were like, guys, like I'm like a couple months out. We're like, oh, never mind. Like we're not even gonna bother
Oh
him. Like
shit.
he's yeah, like you were busy at this time. Like I think that was the time you were probably doing like a lot of the just a lot of like the elude and DRT stuff back in the day. And we were just like, holy
Yeah.
cow. Like we knew you were busy, but you like gave us a timeline. We're like, holy crap. Yeah, yeah. Well, we won't bother him again.
Damn, no, yeah, that's crazy. It's like now I've like learned how to juggle it so well that
Right.
I'll never turn like
Yeah.
if I can get it done, it's usually a week turnaround. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anytime you need artwork, dude, you got the homie hook now.
Hell yeah,
So
dude. Yeah,
hit
I
me
was gonna
up
say
for real.
I even have all the old F because you did stuff for F5, like the Baby Yoda, the
Yeah.
what else? There's a couple of them that I had that I know you had done.
There was a there was a bass like jumping in front of a moon that was like a diamond shape that was like green. It was like
May have
green
had
and
that one
white
too. Yeah.
colors. And then there was one that was like a hip hop b-boys like graph style character in a
Mm.
boat that was just like
Yeah. Yeah, I think I
um
had that one too.
I think that was the only three that I did for him.
Brand. Is it like, do you look back on and you're like, wow, I have made a lot of artwork? Like, is it kind of crazy for you to like reminisce and talk to me and kind of give me a timeline? You're like, oh my gosh, like, wow, I did so much stuff that year for this person. Like, you probably don't necessarily think about it until you're carrying on a conversation like this, and then it all just kind of floods at you at once, right?
Yeah, no doubt, dude. It's crazy talking about it. It's like, ah man, it's wild. I didn't really realize it until it was this year actually that was 10 years of doing swim bait
Wow.
artwork.
Yeah.
And my phone like did the memories thing, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, it's been 10 fucking years. That's so crazy.
Wow.
There's no way, dude.
Yeah. Man.
So yeah, but it's really cool. And like a lot of the cats that I started out doing graphics for, their companies have like really blown up and flourished. And it's been dope watching all my friends grow
Yeah.
and make cool shit, dude. It's so much fun.
Yeah,
It's
dude, that's
wild. It reminds me a lot of growing up in the 90s and
yeah.
skateboarding.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, man, it's insane to see. I've been having memories pop up from like 8 and 9 years ago, swim bait stuff. And just, I mean, we talked about like the DRT stuff getting introduced and just everything that's changed, even in the course of 2019 since before COVID. Like so much stuff has changed in that 6 year realm. Whereas you look back at like 8 or 9 years, it's like, wow, so much has changed. It's crazy and talk about it. And like I said earlier, I always feel like it's an Uncle Rico moment because I'm not the oldest guy ever, and I've only been doing it, 8 or 9 years, going on 9 years, and it's just like, man, I know there's guys that have been doing it for just as long as I had been alive, and how much it's changed for those guys. Like it's just like wow. And you have the guys. You have guys that have only been doing it for 2 or 3 years, like, oh my gosh, it's changed so much. And it's like, man, you don't even know when Tackle Warehouse only had two rods on the swim bait page. Like there, dude, it's insane to think about. And for you, so for me, the scales and tails thing's only been going on for 3 years, going on four. I couldn't even imagine doing something in this scene is like, how would I even say that? Like is like repeatable as you. Like you're doing all this artwork for all these different people and all these different companies for 10 years. Like the stuff you have seen and how many connections you've made and stuff, it's got to be just absolutely insane. The networking you've done over the course of the 10 years in this very small, you know, rapidly growing community we have here.
Oh yeah, dude. It's been fucking cool.
Hmm.
I've met because not even just the builders or people that own companies, a lot of the cats that I've met through them and through fishing and going to these events are super stand-up people too. And a
Yeah.
lot of them are cats that are fucking hammers,
Mhm.
dude. And like no one would know about them really, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so it's and you gain all this knowledge from all these different people that you meet,
Hmm.
whether you're asking questions or not. You're if you're chilling with somebody,
Yeah.
you're soaking in what everybody's putting out. So it's like throughout the years, it's been fucking cool. Like uh, growing with everybody and meeting new people and being part of the community because the community is so dope, dude.
Hmm.
The swim bait community is one of a kind for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, dude, it's absolutely insane, man. Was there anything that you were ready to talk about that we didn't touch on, whether it's art related or fishing related or, anything else?
Not really.
Okay.
I didn't have anything in mind. I was just
Perfect. I just wanted to make sure because sometimes guys are like, oh man, I wanted to talk about this trip I just took or whatever else it may be. Is there any projects so I do know the one project that you've been posting about. Do you want to talk about that at all?
oh, the cast no
Yeah, yeah,
shadows.
I had that on my list, and I'm so glad I just glanced down because when I was scrolling through your page, I saw it, and I was like, okay, I got to ask him that next, and then we got off on a little side tangent there. But yeah, the Cast No Shadows. Can you kind of explain that and break that down for us?
Yeah, so it's just like I wanted to. There's nobody in Northern Nevada that really gears anything towards swim baits
Hmm.
or swim bait culture or anything like that. And there's like probably, maybe 10 to 15 dudes up here that are constantly like, I see fishing around that
Yeah.
don't really, they're swim baiting, but they don't really have the same algorithm maybe is I
Hmm.
don't know if that's the same, so
Hmm.
they're not really all on the same shit. And I
Yeah.
so I was like just trying to open it up to more of the heads up here in the northern Nevada area and kind of hit on things that I feel like companies aren't really putting out. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I have it's not just gonna be like shirts and hats and shit. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
I wanna do some stuff that not everybody's doing. And
Yeah.
so I'm I'm working on some stuff with Wendell from Elude. We're gonna
Heck yeah,
drop some
dude.
stuff through Bass Espionage. It'll be like a collaboration, and the collaboration with Stay Bent is one that we're working on right now. I would say that's the first drop
Mm,
is going to be the, we're probably going to be doing like shirts and sweatshirts and stuff, but the stuff with the lewd will be gear. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
it'll be shit that you can use while you're fishing, and I'm gonna try and push it as cheap as I can so that people can get a hold of it and
Right.
not have to break bank. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Heck yeah, dude.
But yeah, cast no shadows fishing on Instagram is that.
Yeah, the artwork you've been sharing is just it looks badass, dude. I'm excited to see what you guys do with that.
Hell yeah, I wanted to go with that like Masonic,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, man.
like it makes people feel like they're part of something. You know what
Yeah.
I
Yeah, yeah, 100%. What's the like the personal, what's the art Instagram? And then if people are like, man, like after listening to this, I'm starting a bait company or XYZ, I want a piece of artwork done. How can they get a hold of you and how can they get all that squared away with you?
So my art Instagram is just gooniewolfe. It's my main page.
Perfect.
And just shoot me a DM on my page, and I will 99% of the time get back to you unless for whatever reason you're not following me.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the only reason because like I'll get a lot of spam mail,
Mm.
and instead of like going through them all, thousands and thousands of
Yeah.
fucking spam messages,
Yep.
I'm just deleting them all. So
Yeah.
if you want, you have to follow me and then shoot me a DM, and we'll go from there, dude. It's easy.
Heck yeah, dude. Well, man, I have been seeing your artwork for many, many, many moons now, and I'm so glad I got to get you on the show. We got to talk. We've been trying to plan this for like 2 weeks, and I could not hold up my end of the deal. But we got this one squared away now, so that's good. But dude, like I said, I've been seeing your stuff for what feels like forever throughout, whether it was the F5 stickers I've had or the Elude stuff I've seen, and I have like there's just the Lake Baccarat or Lodge, Baccarat Lodge stuff that you've done. Like, dude, there's just so much stuff that you've had your hand in. And like I said, maybe guys don't realize it. And after listening to this, it's kind of like I can't remember what it's called, but when you hear a new word or you see something new and then it's just repetitive, you hear that word a gajillion times in the next month. Like people, if they're not familiar with you, they're gonna start scrolling through Instagram and be like, oh, that's a Goonie Wolf art. That's a Goonie Wolf art. That's a Goonie Wolf. Oh my gosh, this guy's all over the place, and I just had no idea about it, dude. Like, I don't know, it's super cool, and I appreciate you coming on, man, because like I said, I've been seeing your stuff forever, and be able to pick your brain about the art side of things. That's something I love. If anybody's listened to any amount of episodes, they know that the media side of things, whether it's print or art or cameras, whatever else it may be, I geek over this stuff, and to hear all your perspective and your story behind it is no different, dude. That's so awesome to hear, and I appreciate it.
Hell yeah, dude. I appreciate you having me on, man. It was fun. This is the first one I've ever done.
Oh, really? I
Nick,
thought you did one with
yeah.
Nick.
No, Nick was supposed to get me on, and then like he started his new
Yeah,
job and
and he's
kind of
just been
like,
so busy.
yeah, he's been doing a lot of the stuff with his kids and the
Yep.
basketball thing.
Yeah.
So, it played out how it did, but
Mhm.
for sure, dude, I gotta give him a big ass shout out. I love that motherfucker. Like
Yeah, dude.
I
Nick's dude. I'm gonna have him on an episode too when our schedules line up. We already agreed that he's gonna come on sometime. So if you guys have been waiting for that episode will be coming eventually. We already said we're gonna do it. We just got to get a time figured out.
Yeah, dude, for sure. I'll hit him up after I get off this phone call, and I'll tell him, be like, hit up Adrian, bro.
Heck yeah, dude.
Let's get
Um,
it cracking.
again, what's the Instagram? Plug the Instagram again, and then if you don't have like a YouTube channel or anything else, do you? Just Instagram.
Yeah, just Instagram. It's at Goonie Wolf.
Perfect.
And the wolf has an E on the end of it. And then cast no shadows fishing.
Yes, yes, perfect. As always, guys, I'll leave all of Kyle's stuff in the show description so you guys can follow him through there. Make it easy for you guys. If you're not already, follow the podcast, Scales and Tails Media on Instagram. As always, Kyle, thank you for coming on, dude. It was an absolute pleasure. I'm hyped. Glad we got this one done. Glad I got to pick your brain about the art side of things because, again, I'm a fiend for the art stuff. So, I appreciate it, man. And as always, thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you guys on the next one. We'll see you guys.